The ashtray was overflowing, piled high like a small mountain, the cigarette but standing like a dense field of tombstones, burying Jerry's anxiety and despair from the night before. Jerry stubbed out the last one, the embers struggling briefly in the dim light before going out, just like Jerry's life. His fingers were trembling uncontrollably. Outside, the sky hadn't yet broken into dawn. The Central Valley of California was cloaked in a dirty, grayish-white haze, a mix of dust and fog, like a rag used one too many times. Jerry's small apartment in South Sacramento was sticky with neglect. The cheap laminate flooring groaned underfoot, the kitchen sink perpetually reeked of sewage and stale food, and even the air felt heavy and greasy in his lungs. Jerry could feel his skin coated in a thin film of sweat and self-loathing. How long had it been since he'd had a proper hot shower? He couldn't remember. When your life becomes a relentless, day-after-day grind, dignity is the first luxury you toss aside. 3 years ago, Jerry wasn't like this. Not at all. 3 years ago, he was David, a man even he admired. Up at 6:30 sharp every morning, spending half an hour ironing a crisp cotton dress shirt, ensuring not a single wrinkle marred the collar or cuffs. His Johnston & Murphy shoes were always polished to a mirror shine, reflecting a face that, though slightly tired, brimmed with confidence. In the state government's General Services building, he was dependable David, later respected Supervisor David. A steady, meticulous, by-the-book man. No grand ambitions, but never one to make rookie mistakes at work. Jerry's life was like the blue folders in his desk drawer, neatly organized by year and project number, everything traceable, everything precisely filed. His wife, Jessica, his college sweetheart, was beautiful, kind, with simple, pure expectations of life. Their son, Leo, a 7-year-old bundle of energy with a smile that could melt anything. They had a charming suburban house in Folsom, complete with a backyard that needed constant care and a 30-year mortgage. Every 15th of the month, Jerry's paycheck hit their joint account, not a fortune, but as reliable as the sunrise. He'd once believed that was it. His life would be like a glass of lukewarm water, never boiling, never cold. It quenched thirst, it was safe, but it had no flavor. That carefully planned life now felt like someone else's story, a tale from a past life. Its stability, its calm, was like the thin ice on Folsom Lake in winter, seemingly solid and beautiful. But Jerry had taken a hammer and smashed a hole through it, watching himself sink into the freezing depths. It started at a backyard barbecue, a typical California summer afternoon, the sun warm, the air thick with the smell of grilled meat and the sound of kids laughing. Jerry's friend Mike, his college bunkmate who'd made it big in Silicon Valley, was flipping steaks on the grill. Half joking, he said, "David, my man, you're living way too safe. At the state, you can already see your retirement 30 years from now. Don't you ever want a little excitement?" Jerry laughed, took a sip of cold beer, and said, "What's wrong with safe? I like it. Safe's fine, but it won't pay off your mortgage 10 years early, won't let Jessica buy whatever she wants, won't get Leo into the best private school in the Bay Area." Mike wiped his hands and beckoned Jerry closer, pulling out his new iPhone. The screen lit up with a sleek, colorful app interface. Poker, roulette, sports betting odds Jerry didn't understand, numbers pulsing like a heartbeat. "Look at this," Mike said, voice low and tempting. "This isn't gambling, it's a skill game. It's all logic and probability. You're a smart guy, David. You deal with data and regulations all day. Your brain's like a computer. For someone like you, this is like playing in easy mode. One good night could match a year's salary." Jerry felt an instinctive recoil, a flicker of disdain. He shook his head. "No way, Mike. I'm a government employee. My background checks are tighter than anyone's. I can't touch anything shady." But even as he said it, Jerry felt a pang of hypocrisy. His heart had already been singed by those flashing, colorful numbers. It wasn't just greed, it was a deeper, long-suppressed urge to prove to the world, to Mike, to himself, that David wasn't just a cog in the bureaucratic machine, stamping forms. He had daring, intelligence, the ability to seize something bigger than his predictable life. He didn't ask for the app's name. He acted dismissive, went back to chatting about baseball and housing prices. But that afternoon, a seed was planted in Jerry's heart. That night, after Jessica and Leo were asleep, Jerry sat alone in the dark living room. The house was quiet except for the hum of the fridge. Almost on autopilot, he pulled out his phone and typed online skill games and sports betting into the search bar. Thousands of links flooded in, each one beckoning with promises. New user bonuses, double your first deposit, withdraw in a minute. His heart pounded like a drum as he hesitated. Finally, he downloaded the most professional-looking app with the best reviews. The sign-up was absurdly easy. He didn't even use his real info. Then came the deposit screen. He stared at the $100 button, finger hovering. $100 was a week's lunches, a swim lesson for Leo. Guilt gnawed at him, but Mike's words echoed. "Your brain's like a computer." Taking a deep breath, he pressed it, like a kid dipping a toe into icy pool water. Jerry would never forget that night. He picked a simple game, online blackjack. He told himself it was just math, probability, no different from analyzing budget reports. He won his first hand. His balance hit $105, then $110. A double down pushed it to $130. An hour later, when he closed the app, $380 sat in his account. He shut off his phone, sank into the couch, blood racing. The thrill was a million times stronger than finishing a complex report or getting a pat on the back from his boss. Then his banking app pinged, a crisp $380 transfer confirmation. In that moment, that sound was the sweetest music Jerry had ever heard. It wasn't just money, it was instant, undeniable validation. It screamed, David C., you're not just some drone stamping papers. You've got brains, instincts, extraordinary luck. You have the power to change your fate. That was when Jerry got hooked. His life split into two worlds. The daytime world was gray. He still drove the clogged I-5, sat in his beige cubicle, slogging through endless paperwork. He attended mind-numbing meetings about procurement processes, listening to his supervisor drone on in a monotone. The bureaucratic jargon was a lullaby, putting him to sleep. But the nighttime world was vibrant. When Jessica and Leo slept, when the world quieted, Jerry became a covert operative, slipping into his study, opening his battlefield. The red and green candlestick charts, shifting odds, virtual cards dealt on a digital table. These were the only language he understood, the only fight that felt real. He was a spy in his own mundane life, reveling in the secret thrill of his double identity. Jerry started winning consistently. He felt kissed by Lady Luck. He built a system, studying team stats, historical odds, taking notes, drawing charts. He imagined himself as a calculated Wall Street trader, not a reckless gambler. This self-deception let him sleep at night. Winning felt incredible. It made him feel invincible, his posture straighter in the real world. He started buying things they'd never splurged on. He got Jessica the Tiffany smile necklace she'd always wanted. When he handed her the blue box, he shrugged. Hey, honey, I led a big project at work. Got a fat bonus. She squealed, hugged him, kissed his cheek. She wore the necklace, twirling in front of the mirror, radiating pure joy. Seeing her so happy filled Jerry with a profound satisfaction. For once, he felt like a real man, one who could surprise her, give her a better life, not just a guy with a steady paycheck. That fleeting, life-fueled pride would cost Jerry the rest of his life to repay. The avalanche always starts with a single snowflake. Jerry's was a crushing loss on a Sunday night NFL game. Convinced by his analysis, he bet big on a sure thing. His account held about $15,000 in profits. He told himself, win this, take a break, buy a new car. The game went south. His team got crushed. When the final whistle blew, $8,000 vanished in an instant. That was the first time Jerry felt bone-deep, icy fear. His heart was gripped by an invisible fist, his breathing shallow and ragged. His stomach churned, sweat beaded on his back. A rational voice screamed, "Stop, David. Stop now. You've lost big. Quit before it's worse." But stop isn't in a gambler's vocabulary. Losing, in that adrenaline-fueled, defiant moment, felt like humiliation, a challenge. His reason was drowned out by a louder, primal voice roaring. Win it back. That's your money. One win, and you're done. Jerry lost all composure and his system. He bet wildly, stakes growing, chasing a big win to erase the loss. Predictably, it got worse. That night, he not only burned through his profits but lost $5,000 of his own money. From then on, the game changed. It wasn't about thrills or extra cash anymore. It was a war for dignity and sanity. Jerry embarked on a frantic chase to recoup his losses. He maxed out his first credit card, then the second, the third. When they were all red, he turned to online payday loans. Their ads were everywhere, friendlier than any bank app, promising no credit check, instant cash. They didn't care what you needed the money for, or if their astronomical interest rates would ruin you. They were smiling demons, nudging you into the abyss, then kindly sealing the lid. Jerry's life spiraled out of control. Fights with Jessica grew frequent, heated. She questioned why he was glued to his phone, even in the bathroom. Why he stayed up at 3 a.m., staring at his screen, his face swinging between manic joy and deathly stillness. Why their joint account kept shrinking. Jerry built a fortress of lies. He said Mike needed cash for a new investment. A coworker had an emergency. He was dabbling in stocks, taking temporary losses but sure to rebound. The lies piled up, so many that Jerry almost believed them himself. He became a bad actor, playing the part of the responsible husband, father, and employee that no longer existed. To plug the financial hole, Jerry did the unforgivable. He tapped his 401k, claiming financial hardship, withdrawing tens of thousands, paying steep taxes and penalties. He told Jessica he'd moved it to a higher-yield fund. She believed him because she'd always trusted him. And he used that trust as a tool to fuel his gambling debts. His mental and physical health crumbled. Insomnia, anxiety, constant irritability. Once, when Leo accidentally spilled his coffee, Jerry snapped, yelling until the boy cried. Jessica scooped up their son, staring at Jerry with disbelief and disappointment. He started missing Leo's baseball games, or when he went, he was distracted, sneaking glances at betting odds. At Leo's school play, where he played a tree with a few key lines, Jerry was too busy arguing with an online customer service rep over a lost bet to notice. He missed his son's moment. When he looked up, Leo was on stage, searching the crowd for his dad. The guilt stabbed Jerry, but the gambling demon quickly devoured it. His world had shrunk to that glowing phone screen. Then, 3 months ago, Judgment Day. It was a Tuesday afternoon. Jerry had just lost the last of a loan he'd gotten by forging Jessica's signature for a second mortgage on their house. He sat in his office, hollowed out, the world a slow-spinning gray haze. His mind was blank, ears ringing. His phone buzzed. Jessica. Her voice was eerily calm, devoid of emotion, chilling him to the core. David, come home. Now. The drive back to Folsom felt like a century. The streets blurred. He clung to a shred of hope, maybe a burst pipe or Leo in trouble at school. But his gut knew it was over. He walked in. The door was unlocked. Jessica sat on the couch, not looking at him. On the coffee table were torn envelopes and papers, credit card bills, loan collection notices, his 401k liquidation notice, and the forged second mortgage contract. She'd laid out his sins like a prosecutor. The air was thick with cold, suffocating judgment. She pointed at the papers, finally meeting his eyes. That look, Jerry would never forget it. No anger, no hysterics, not even sadness. Just cold, utter estrangement, like she was seeing a dangerous stranger in her home. $225,000, she said, voicing the hellish total he'd avoided facing. The debt collectors have been calling me since last week. They're threatening to come for Leo if we don't pay. Those words were an ice-cold dagger to his heart. His knees buckled, and he collapsed to the floor. That number, spoken so clearly, was a red-hot brand searing his soul with every sin. Let's get a divorce, she said, her voice flat, like stating a fact. I'm tired, David. I thought I knew you, loved a man with responsibility, with limits. But I don't know who you are anymore. I can't save you, but I have to protect our son. He can't have a gambling addict for a father. That night, Jerry packed a few clothes and left like a beaten dog, abandoning the home he'd built and destroyed. One last glance showed Leo's room, lit up, the glow-in-the-dark dinosaur stickers he'd helped put up still there. That had been the center of his world, the reason for all his striving. And he could never go back. Now Jerry lives here. By day, he still clocks in at the gray government building, reassigned to the windowless basement archives, sorting forgotten files. Colleagues look at him with pity, contempt, or schadenfreude. Rumors about him have spread. He doesn't care. Shame no longer registers. He's a walking corpse. It's not the endless collection calls or the lawsuits he fears most. It's the silence. In the dead of night, when the world sleeps, Jerry hears his heartbeat, each thump a cruel reminder. You're still alive. You have to carry this, like a damned soul, forever. $225,000. It's no longer just a number. It's Jessica's cold, unfamiliar gaze. It's Leo's innocent voice asking, Daddy, when are you coming home? It's the thought of his aging parents' bodies breaking under the truth. It's the spine Jerry will never hold straight again.